to be fair and to be honest, where we are now, things will have to be hard for everybody before things will be soft. It will have to be difficult before it will have to be easy. And every Ghanaian, anyone who before the budget never thought that the austerity measures were going to be announced, I would say wasn't really switched on in terms of politics. Okay, so everybody knew that there were going to be the introduction and implementation of serious austerity measures. Okay, we knew. Now, my worry is that the austerity measures introduced, the hardships introduced by the budget, are now likely to affect the poor more than the politician. You see, political leadership, political elites are going to be affected less, but the overburdened and the already impoverished poor person is going to be affected more. So in a write-up, I did yesterday, it's like, you see, you're going to put a big stone on an ant, and then you are going to put a cotton on the thigh of an elephant. In terms of the hardships, if you want to share the hardships, see, it is affecting. I mean, why do you tell me that you are now no longer going to print diaries? You are not going to print calendars. You are not going to distribute hampers. Why do you favor that over reduction in the size of government? Do a simple Google search. Ministerial appointment and government expenditure in Ghana's Fourth Republic. It will tell you how much it costs to hire one minister. And if a government can go a simple route of saying, look, I'm downsizing, you'll be able to save a lot. You'll be able to bring, we would see that you want their hardship to affect your own people more. But it appears that government wants to live in opulence, even in times of hardship, and then the ordinary people must be impoverished to be able to pay for the opulence living standards of government. And this is something that I don't understand. Why can't we downsize? Why can't we reduce the number of ministers from X amount of X number to this number? How many are we? Compare the number of ministers we have to other advanced countries. Why can't we downsize as a sacrifice? Why do we have certain ministries still not being aligned? If we are serious, we can choose to say, look, communications ministry, let us align them with information. Okay? Oftentimes, when we have elections, you have the police, the soldiers, the fire service teaming up to work together. Or when there is conflict, you want people to swiftly, these agencies to swiftly act to intervene, they work together. So because we are not in normal times, why wouldn't you say that, okay, let us merge the interior and defense ministry for one, no, for the time being? Why do you want to have ministry for agriculture and then also have a ministry in charge of fisheries? Is fisheries not part of agric? Why do you want to have railway standing on its own, aviation standing on its own?
Well, no, there's no aviation.
Well, okay, so railway is there, railway is there, there's ports, the ports and
Ministry of Transport. The transport.
Yeah, but see, railways can be subsumed under transport.
I get the point.
Why do you, I mean, I could go on yesterday, I looked at so many ministries that could be aligned so that in that process, you would be able to reduce these ministries and then reduce the size of government, the number of people working at the presidency. Why don't you send some home and then ask them to go and embark on planting for food or go into agriculture? I mean, you do some of these things to show the way that, look, it is going to be hard before it becomes easy. You do these things to show that genuinely you want to sacrifice. But it appears that even the president doesn't appreciate the need for sacrifice among the top echelons and top political elites. Otherwise, no, otherwise,
30% cut in their salary.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me. Listen, don't tell me about 30%. Don't tell me about 30% because
that's what he says.
Right from the, you see, they started this announcement long before this budget was read. Okay, and I'm telling them that I do not believe them. I don't trust any politician because you see, they are people who are expected to be serving us. Yet we do not have the right to have access to their salary, a pay slip, to be able to do a before or after analysis of the 30% reduction. No, please, we don't. No, please. You listen. You talk about this thing and they tell you that you should go through the RTI route, and deliberately they forget deliberately that the RTI route has some unnecessary bureaucratic bottlenecks, and sometimes you have to pay to be able to access information. It is not so easy. And so I'm telling you that to the extent that politicians are not willing to voluntarily, if you want to see my pay slip after this program, I will show it to you. But politicians are not willing to voluntarily show their pay slip. To the extent that they are not willing to do that, we cannot trust that proposal that there is going to be 30%. I'm not sure it has been done. I'm not sure it will be done. And then I was making...
To the extent that there's no evidence that
they will not show us any evidence.
Any 30%
Listen, they will not show us any evidence, and they will make it difficult for us to access their pay slip and to independently authenticate and verify whether this has been done. We won't find it. We won't find that information.
Sure,
now, you are telling me that in this time of hardship, and I made a point that it appears even the president doesn't appreciate the need to sacrifice. Around this time, there is a football, we are having a World Cup tournament in Qatar. A president jets in a luxurious airplane to Qatar to go and boost morale of footballers.
We don't know the means whether it was a commercial flight.
Whether it was a commercial flight. Let's assume. Let's assume that he went with a commercial. Yes. No, for the sake of argument, even if he went with a commercial flight, what was the purpose around this time? Please. No. The point is this. Listen, around this time, why is Joe Biden not there? You could simply show the way that we are sacrificing by making a phone call. And in a phone call, you tell them that, look, I would have loved to be there with you, but because times are hard, I am unable to pay for the flight, to be there. And so I am using this medium, maybe Zoom call or telephone call. I'm using this medium to encourage you. And then if you do this, maybe the players themselves may also even rethink their demand for winning bonuses and all that on the state. Because you can see clearly the president himself is sacrificing. But it appears that in our part of that, if you look at the budget, it appears that there is this very childish and unpatriotic feeling and belief that when it comes to sacrifices, it is the poor people who must sacrifice the more. But the rich or the political elite must continue to live in opulence. I mean, why do you tell me you are going to now ban the usage of V8 vehicles in Accra? A very unenforceable, very difficult proposal. I mean, if Kweku, I'm sure, drove here from wherever he is in his V8. I mean, if you sit in his car, and I'm sure you did same. If you sit in your car driving from your house, you've been overly comfortable in your V8 to the point that when they sit in saloon cars, it feels that they are going to be involved in accidents. So they always want to be in a V8. Now, if he sits in his V8 and is driving from his home to his office, are we going to be able to stop you and check your logbook to be able to be sure that you are moving out of Accra?
Right.
Are we able to be able to are you able to do that? We can't do that, and so there's no way we can verify. And so it's a very, very ticking the box recommendation that would add to nothing. We are unable to quantify also the monetary value of the kinds of austerity measures the government is inflicting on its own self. And I'm saying that it may just amount to drop in an ocean if you want to quantify those austerity measures that are going to be afflicted on the government and the political elites. And it cannot compare to the kinds of hardships that people are going to go through. And the point is this. Look, and in the midst of this, you go to labor negotiations and the government tells you that I'm going to pay you, give you 12% increment in your base pay. And you expect us to appreciate this? I'm telling you, until we begin to see sacrifices, first on the part of the political elites, labor would never sacrifice. I'm making this point forcefully. Until government itself begin to demonstrate that it wants to sacrifice by doing or undertaking some of these things that we've mentioned, downsizing, and we seeing in more concrete terms that, look, the hardships are being now inflicted on themselves, labor would never sacrifice. And so we should brace ourselves for more industrial action come next year.
You are a leading member of the university.
And that is what I'm saying. I'm saying we should brace ourselves for more industrial action. We would go on and on and on until government decides to embark upon a journey that entails it, sacrificing. The government itself showing the way that it is willing to sacrifice. We go on negotiations, and then you sit with appointees, and clearly you can see that even though we are in hardships, they are still living in opulence. And you go and sit, in front of labor union, and then you tell them that they should take 12% increment. I mean, who taught you? Well, I mean, the fact that you have gotten to the fact that you've gotten to that position, of appointment does not make you superior or better than any other human being.
Nobody is claiming.
We will not accept that. And I'm saying that now, not until you guys begin to sacrifice. We will not sacrifice. What sacrifice?
Some
what sacrifice are you talking about?
expenditure.